Hi, friends. I'm Zach.
I'm Mitch.
And we are an excellent little podcast.
Presenting you a little movie podcast starring Zach and Mitch.
Wait, we're doing a podcast?
Hi, sir. Welcome to our podcast.
Oh, gosh. Well, this is actually going to be a little different for us, though, for the first time.
We are reviewing a streaming film.
A streaming film?
Yes, from Disney Plus.
Wasn't this supposed to be theatrically released?
Yes, but they changed it to streaming due to a current pandemic.
You mean a panini?
Oh, yes, a panini.
I like
Excuse
a
me.
good panini.
I don't like paninis.
Not the panini, but a panini.
Panini?
A panini.
Oh, okay.
Like if you get like some good like mayo and mustard,
You know,
maybe
Zach,
a Cuban.
I feel like people are done with paninis. They want to know what movie we're reviewing.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, this is actually my honorable mention from our top 10.
It sure was.
It's gonna be Turning Red.
Turning Red?
Turning Red.
Well, I'll be.
Yeah, from Domi Shi, who actually directed the short film Bao that debuted right before Incredibles 2 back in 2018.
Correct.
And this has her hand and fingerprints all over it.
Oh, yeah.
She was definitely as well. She also has a script credit as well with... She collaborated with Julia Cho and Sarah Stryker on the screenplay.
A brief summary of this film is a 13-year-old girl named Mei Lin turns into a giant red panda whenever she gets too excited.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could not have a more interesting premise of a 13-year-old turning into a giant red panda.
Especially when she gets a little too excited.
But sorry, I think I just died. It's fine. I think Batman just punched me in the throat.
Wow.
Well, it's fine. It's great. Maybe I'm just going through puberty. I don't know.
Is that what that's kind of what Turning Red is about?
Kind of, yeah.
PIXAR, you have done it again.
Yeah, well done. So normally we would split this review into a non-spoiler and a spoiler section.
But we decided to leave spoilers out because this is a streaming movie and pretty much I'm going to say at least 75% of you have Disney Plus, so we are going to let you see the movie for yourself after hearing this review. And please, listen to this review. Don't forget to like, share, and
you know, leave a good question. We always want to hear your thoughts. And we always have our email available to you, which is elpodcast@mz@gmail.com, which is always a wonderful way to reach out to us.
Absolutely.
We also have Mitch's Instagram handle if you ever want to at him, if I say that right, as the kids say.
Yeah. Or just give me a follow, DM me. No one messages me anymore because I'm lame.
But back to Turning Red.
Yeah, back to Turning Red.
My first thoughts on Turning Red are really, really solid, honestly. Pixar's done it again, genuinely.
Oh, yeah.
It's so heartfelt. You feel every single one of these characters. You understand where each and every single one of them is coming from.
And we're watching this as we're recording this?
Yeah, and we're having it play in the background, and it just ended. We got to see the end credit scene, which there is an end credit scene, just to let you know.
It's not like you're leaving the theater or anything because it's streaming.
But it's really, really wonderful. A really great love letter to boy bands, but specifically a very wonderful love letter to a conversation that a lot of parents are very uncomfortable with. And I think Pixar handled this content with really wonderful grace, dignity, and metaphors, so that it's very family friendly. And even someone such as myself, who as a white male never went through a whole bunch of things that are talked about in this movie, can understand and relate to in some way or form. That way it seems a lot more I can understand exactly what's happening. Mitch, what are your first thoughts on this?
So I'm going to have to agree with you 100%. I really thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I thought the premise was very, very good. It's a very much a big, not just a love letter, but it's an open love letter. It's open to everybody. Anybody who wants to see this movie can see it. And everybody that watches this movie will see, even if it's not the message that Pixar wants them to see, they will still get some sort of message, because I got a message and I'm in your boat. I'm a white, straight male, but I still saw a message that I don't know if Pixar wanted me to see it, but I still felt a very big message with all these lovely characters. And I just have to say, this voice cast, it was so good.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, we have to start with the main character. And do you know what?
It's gonna be May.
Yes! It's gonna be May, because, oh my gosh, Rosalie Chang as Mei-Lin Lee. Oh, gosh, she is, the second that she lands on screen, she is just this force of nature and presence of every single confident, like, in their head 13-year-old,
absolutely
thinking that they know the world and life is gonna, like, they're like, life is now gonna be on the easy breezy. I know exactly how this is gonna continue going on.
And then something happens.
And throws a wrench into every 13-year-old's life. But she handles the character so well, and especially I love her discovery with the character as the character discovers who Mei-Lin is, because Mei-Lin at first is a very sheltered child, but by the end you really see her grow as this character and see her grow through these experiences of allowing this panda to kind of start taking over her life.
Right.
But it's really wonderful to see her go through the stages of accepting exactly who she is and dealing with some very strict and very huge expectations brought on from her elders. So she just did such a wonderful job. What did you think of Rosalie Chang?
I felt she just captured just every little thing about Mei-Lin Lee that I don't think anybody else could have done.
No. Mm-mm.
I also enjoyed the chemistry that both her and Sandra Oh as the mother Ming. We'll get to her in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But I really loved the fact that when I heard this voice performance, I felt I was listening to a 13-year-old.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I know how a lot of films nowadays, like, oh, they get like a 25-year-old to voice a 15-year-old, 16-year-old or whatever. This felt like a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
And I just love that because we've all been 13.
Yeah.
I remember, like, when I was in 13, like, I had acne, I had buck teeth, I just got my braces on.
Well, and you're thinking about, like, you know, of all, usually when you're 13, you're usually thinking about things like, you know, boy bands and like new crushes and what's the new drama at school. Like, you're always thinking about a whole bunch of, like, so many different things at that point. So she really just encapsulated it so well.
Well, you're also thinking about your future.
That too.
Just not just future anything. You're talking about, like, oh, what happens if I fail this test?
Yeah.
Or is my grade gonna be lower? Is my opportunity to get into a good college gonna happen? That's really when it hits. For me, college didn't hit, like, the college, like, bug didn't hit until, like, probably about, like, 16-ish, but, like, 13 definitely I was more so starting, like, to get concerned about, like, my grades and whatnot. So, like, believe me, in my house, Mom, if you're listening to this, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, and so a while ago you mentioned Sandra Oh, the great Sandra Oh, who played Ming as Mei-Lin's mother.
She was mean,
but she just brought something, like, so special to this movie.
I know, and only Sandra Oh could have played Ming.
She genuinely just brought this, like, gravitas and, like, well, like, you know, whenever someone, like, steps into a room and, like, air just kind of gets sucked out because you want whoever just stepped into the room to, like, know you and respect you kind of thing, and you want and you respect them so much.
Oh, yeah.
She brought that presence hard.
Well, she brings that presence not just in this film. She brings it in Grey's Anatomy. She brings this in every little place. And she just nailed this part.
Oh, yeah.
Nailed it.
And it's so great.
I know.
And that's the thing, because she plays in the beginning of this movie such a high expectations mother. So
she was
very
almost like
trying
the
to be
straight
involved.
man too.
Yeah, just trying to be very involved in her kid's life. And then once you get into the film a little bit later, you start to see that crack. Again, we don't want to. Well, I mean, we're going to talk about her. Is you start to kind of see her crack when her own mom starts to come into the picture. Maylin's grandmother, played by Watchin Ho, but we'll get to her eventually.
We'll get to her in a little bit.
But like, it's so interesting to see a character like that strong and then all of a sudden be brought down and be insecure as well. So she had a very multi-dimensional character, and she played it to the nines. She did such a good job with her.
Can we also talk about the supporting cast
of
Maylin's friends?
Oh, absolutely. So we have Ava Morse, who played Miriam. We have Hyen Park, who played Abby. And then, I am so sorry to this actress. We have Maitreyi Ramakashanan, who played Priya. I'm so
close.
sorry
we apologize.
for butchering that name, but each and every single one of these women who played these characters, 100%, I love them. They were the heart of this movie, along with Maylin.
Absolutely.
Like, Maylin was pumping the blood to the heart, but like, they were like each part of the heart that helped this go.
Oh, for sure. And we've all been in that junior high school level, and you always have that group.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I had my group. I'm sure you had your group.
Yep.
And it was sad to say, but I, like, jumped from group to group to group. Like, I never stayed with the same group more than a year.
Sure.
And I just bounced from group to group. Because I was also not just, I was in a little bit of theater. I was in FFA, Future Farmers of America. Zach, you're giving me a look.
I was like FFA, but okay, good. Future Farmers of America. That's great.
I was also in baseball. I was in a few other things. But like I said, we all have that group that you go to vent, to talk about. In our case, we talk about girls. Or we talk about, oh, my dad's pissing me off, or my mom, she grounded me because I got a B+ or something like
well,
that.
to be honest, it's the group that you find that is more like your family than your own family.
Yeah, I know.
And it's
like you and I, Zach.
Yeah, it's so great.
And you just ignored that.
No, I love you, dude. I love you.
He says that now, but he's gonna make another recording, and he's gonna post this. And
I'm
he's
just
gonna be
stewing about the Batman. It's fine. But no, I love you, dude. And that's the thing. It's like, the entire point of that group is to make sure that May shows her support, and you really do see it. And it's really great how each one brings their own flavor to it, because Hyen Park's Abby is the very like fiery one, the one that like brings all for the energy. Priya brings such a wonderful like wit and sass to it. Yeah, perfect saying.
I feel like Miriam was kind of
she's the moral compass. I almost feel like
it was almost like if Mei Lin didn't have Ming as a mom, Miriam would have been, even though they were the same age, that would have been like almost a kind of a motherly figure.
Oh yeah, she's the mom friend.
Absolutely.
She's the mom friend.
Yeah, we all have that mom that comes to take care of us, like especially after parties when you drink, when you have
Did you eat? Did you have like here's something from my purse that I've got a huge amount of?
Or did you have protein? Did you do you need to pee? Did you break the seal? Do you need to pee?
But like each and every single one of them did really, really well.
Oh, absolutely.
And when the panda finally does show up, it's them that calm her down, which I find amazing and wonderful, and such. It really speaks to like how close your friends are at that age and how essential they are at that age. So I just thought that was so wonderfully done.
Oh yeah, can we? So you mentioned the grandmother.
Yes, played by the really wonderful, great Wai Chin Ho.
She was,
gosh,
even though she wasn't
her.
in it that long, but she was glorious in this movie.
Literally, the second I heard her voice, I was like, oh, heck yes. I love you. And she's one of those characters. So I will say, she's almost kind of like our character in Encanto, the grandmother in Encanto, Abuela.
I haven't seen Encanto.
Well, she kind of plays that role. I know you definitely should see Encanto. I think it's a wonderful film.
Really?
Oh yes, 100%.
I'll try to watch it tomorrow.
But oh my gosh, like I'm not gonna say they're tied because Abuela gets a lot more character development, and it's Abuela in Encanto is a lot more at the center of the story, where I feel like May and her mom's relationship is more at the center of the story than the grandmother. But the Wai Chin Ho's grandmother, her presence is felt the second she even steps onto the scene.
Right.
Like the second the phone is picked up, and Orion Lee's Jin, who's
my God.
who plays the father.
Yeah.
I'm
not here.
It's your mother. Like the amount of drawback, like you just feel her presence, and she does such a wonderful job, and she has a still pretty well fleshed out character,
right?
And she, like you said, she just doesn't have a lot of screen time, but the little that she has, she uses it and uses it so well.
So speaking of the dad, I'm telling you, he was so funny.
He was so funny, but also so wonderful and so full of heart. I was throughout the entire movie, I was just waiting for one scene, absolutely just one scene where. Because he's one of those dads that, you know, he's there, he's present, but he isn't like very vocal.
He's basically a dad that does everything his wife tells him to do without any backsass. He's what was it that people say he's whipped?
But like, but yeah, like, and he kind of
in a good way,
but. You can tell he's very loving and he cares about each one of his family members. And I was just waiting for one singular scene for him to kind of like showcase that. And he did. He has one scene with May that is absolutely, I was crying in that scene flat out, because his scene between him and May is so wonderful. And it not only gives so much wonderful backstory to everything, but also just goes really well into his character. And it shows that he really truly does care, not only about his wife, but his daughter, and as well the rest of his family as well.
Right. Well, you touched upon it. He really brings out a little bit more of the backstory and the family trauma as well.
Oh, absolutely. So that's actually a really good segue to our next point. There's kind of two things that this story tries to tackle, and it tackles it really well. It tackles family trauma and puberty. Puberty is definitely a very hard topic to talk about, especially here in the U.S. I feel like it's very taboo of us to talk about that kind of subject matter.
Well, and because everybody deals with it differently.
Well, yeah, exactly. And, you know, we all have very ironically very different but very similar experiences. Like in the end, I feel like we all experience very similar things, but how they're brought about and when we go through it and how we go through it is where the differences come in.
Right.
But like, you know, during puberty, like our bodies change like a whole bunch. And
Zach, are you giving me the birds and bees?
I'm not giving you the birds and bees talk, but I feel like Pixar, with this movie, does a really wonderful job of introducing these concepts to younger kids to the point where they have and are able to feel comfortable to ask at least these questions.
Right.
And I feel like it's a good way to set up and have this kind of conversation because, yes, we want to make sure that kids allow to enjoy their childhood and everything, but ultimately they're going to start discovering themselves and start going through changes and whatnot, and it's a very scary time when that starts to happen.
No matter when it starts to happen. So to see how May takes that challenge and how, like, the whole metaphor of the red panda and how she goes to her friends and how they take down kind of like the trauma that of expectations and things that go through generations between not only with her mom but her mom's mom. This film really touched upon
it's
the pressure of really having to. So, little backstory on myself, if I don't say.
Absolutely.
You know, I always felt like a little pressure to be, you know, the best child for my parents.
Sure, absolutely.
And every child goes through that.
Oh, absolutely.
And I felt like this message really brings it out of, you know, everybody wants to be the perfect child. They always want to please their parents.
Yeah.
They always want to, you know, make them proud.
Yeah.
Like, I always wanted to make my dad proud. I always wanted to make my mom proud. Did it always happen? No, but I still strive to. And after a while, you know what? I'm not going to lie. You get frustrated.
Yeah.
When you don't think you're being what your parents want you to be.
Correct.
And it not only did Mei Lin feel this way, but Ming, I feel like she felt it more than Mei Lin did.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like she really didn't grow out of it.
No.
I feel like Ming only half became her own woman, but she was still living in the shadow of her mom.
Well, I do have to say, I don't want to say it's impossible to grow out of it.
No.
Because I still know a lot of people in, not just in my family, but in all across the people that I've known in the past and current predicament that I'm, whatever. They're still, like, I know somebody in their 50s that still thinks that they're living in the shadow of their father. And it's not a good place to be.
No, but at the same time, I feel like it's one of those things because you're not only trying to live up to their expectations, you're trying to live up to your own expectations of what those expectations are. And sometimes you win and sometimes you lose.
And to be honest with you,
a lot of times you're losing.
I was just about to say, you lose more than you win. That's why everybody gets so excited when they win, and they get so disappointed when they lose.
Yeah, it's like this like huge high, like whenever you win. So
it's an addiction.
It is, and it can get very toxic. And I feel like this film handles it so well on, you know, allowing creative outlets, allowing maybe not solicitation, which is what we get into eventually into this movie, but it's you know, that teenage angst, it's that rebellion, and honestly, I always feel like everybody needs a bit of that teenage angst and rebellion, especially at that young age when you are starting to discover exactly like what kind of a person you are. It helps. It kind of, not only does it help figure out who you are, it helps
you
grow, but also just kind of takes the pressure off too a little bit too, because being 13's hard, man.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, for all those youngins out there that are possibly listening to this, yes, obey your parents, be nice, but don't be afraid to
take risks.
Be a little naughty.
Yeah, like honestly, like it. Like, we're not telling you to, like, go rob the Federal Reserve.
Oh,
like,
no.
But the codes for the Federal Reserve are, I believe it's
what Zach is trying to say, maybe Zach, me and Zach are trying to say is, you know what? If you have a curfew that's 8:00, try pushing 8:05.
Yeah.
Or, dare I say, Zach, 8:30.
Oh, you naughty boy.
I never. Okay, so funny story. I never missed a curfew, but then again, I never had one because my parents knew I would never miss it. But my older sister, she missed. I mean, every time she had to be home by 8:00, and every single time she was always 5 minutes late. And I knew after 8:00, here I'd be in my room just listening. Then I'd see her car pull in. Oh, 8:05. I wonder what's gonna happen to her. And she would get it, and I'm just like, she walk in.
See, with me, I was always like, my parents, whenever I didn't necessarily have like an entirely a curfew, but they were always like, you have to be inside by the time the street lights are on. When the street lights are on, you have to be inside.
Really? That's actually pretty good. Can I take that for future children?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, thank you.
100%.
I hope my future son / daughter listens to this podcast. And if they are driving, what are you doing on your phone?
But it's like each parent has their own different style. Yes. It's so interesting to see someone else's story, because that's the other thing too that I also want to say. Domi Shi's fingerprints are all over the story.
Absolutely.
I feel her heart, I feel her soul on this, because you just see. I'm not saying she had a traumatized childhood,
right?
But you can just tell that this story comes from a place of love and has been sitting in her head for a while. And I'm really this was her first major animated film that she's been able to do, and she hit it out of the park.
Right. Well, and the message of this film, just the fact that don't be afraid to grow into the person that you're meant to be. You're meant to be. Mm-hmm. Don't be what people want you to be. Don't be what your mom wants you to be. Don't be what your dad wants you to be. Be what you are meant to be. Mm-hmm. Your parents will accept you for who you are, no matter what.
They should. They should accept who you are.
I agree.
Otherwise, we have very wonderful friends around who will accept you for who you are, and we will gladly take you in. We love you.
Absolutely. Well, Zach does. I don't know.
And though there is one
I do.
There is one more thing I like to say.
Oh my gosh. You can take this, Zach.
Kaiju. And that is all. That is all. Because we won't go into spoilers, but purely this is the one word I will say.
All right, Zach.
Kaiju.
All right, Zach. So what do you think? Did you feed it to your dog? Did it need to cook? Did you eat it up? What do you think?
I ate this up. This was great, man. This was
good.
This was so great.
Yeah.
I genuinely adored it. I was smiling ear to ear the entire time. There were a few times where I got a little uncomfortable, but art is supposed to make you uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Genuinely, especially with this subject matter, it's great. It's wonderful. I think I really genuinely, she's become one of my favorite directors at PIXAR, Domi Shi. Mm-hmm. I genuinely cannot wait to see what this woman does here going forward. She is going, I genuinely feel, I don't feel like Turning Red is like a franchise. I feel like it's kind of like a one and done film. I think there can be like a lot of like things that can go off of
maybe a Disney Plus show.
Maybe a Disney Plus show, maybe around like the group, like that would be fun.
That'd be really cool.
Like maybe seeing like their first like soiree into dating, like that would be really funny.
That would be really good.
But like I feel like Domi Shi, I'm really excited to see what her next projects are going to be, just based off of Bao, which is one of my all-time favorite short films, and Turning Red.
Well, Zach, I ate this movie up too.
Great.
Yeah, so I ate this movie up purely on the message that it brought, the director that you mentioned, her message that she just brought, and the voice cast, just phenomenal.
Amazing.
Just the whole entire movie, just pure Pixar Disney magic gold.
Oh, yeah.
I really can't put it into anything else.
I do want to finish up with this. Disney, this better be the last Pixar film you send straight to Disney Plus.
Yeah, if Lightyear does not get a theatrical release, I'm going to be upset. I will be on somebody's doorstep. I'm not going to name that person, but I will be on this person's doorstep, and I will be upset.
Genuinely, like, Lightyear needs to be in theaters. This should have been in theaters.
I agree.
You had a release date, especially that ending. That ending would have been so cool to
Oh,
see,
for sure.
to see in the theaters. But please stop sending it straight to Disney Plus.
Yep.
This is, the people at Pixar deserve better.
Absolutely. Well, Zach, it's time to go.
I think it is. Well, on that note, my friends, I'm Zach.
I'm Mitch.
And we are an excellent little podcast.